Hello and welcome back to episode 38 of Heroic Stats and Any Heroics podcast, the only GBHL team where we select the captain based on the number of amateur productions of Merchant of Venice they've been in. I'm, of course, Stephen, the captain of Any Heroics, and I'm joined, as almost always, by my lovely comrades, John. Say hi, John.
Hi, John.
And Dave. Say hi, Dave.
Hi, John.
Oh, you got us there.
Whoa.
For those of you who are new here,
To the script.
episode 38 will be an absolutely wild place to jump in on any podcast. We run down the results of the events of the previous weekend, specifically relating to the GBHL, not necessarily anything political or anything that's been in the news, because who wants to listen to a bunch of white men talk about that? We do, of course, run this weekly, hence this being the episode 38, because we're in the 38th week of the year, which has had tournaments, at least in the GBHL. So yeah, welcome. We are, of course, affiliated with the wonderful 7th City Collectibles, where you can buy and sell secondhand items. They're stockists of all your favourite systems. You can buy event tickets for all the things that they do. They do Lorcana events as well as Lord of the Rings events, or Middle-earth events, I should say. They do Magic events, and as in Magic Tricks as well as Magic the Gathering, ask World Champion about his wand for further information. They also buy and sell unwanted armies. So go up to Nottingham, buy something, sell something, get your supplies there. Use our affiliate code. It is magical.
Use our affiliate code for extra money, or whatever it does.
To be fair, the affiliate code doesn't actually benefit the subscribers at all. All it does is give us a tiny kickback for use of it. So if you don't want to use it, to be honest, that's fine. Just go shop there anyway, because they're great and we like them. Enough of mindless shilling. Let's move on to the first event of the weekend. It is Betoneo MESBG. I'm not going to try and pronounce what that actually would be in Spanish, because I last did Spanish when I was 20, so not great. This was an event in Villafranca de Penedès. Again, apologies for butchering this. And the results were supplied by the wonderful and the very handsome Mr. Adam Sirens. So thank you very much for that. It was a 24-person event in Spain, obviously. 15 euros a ticket, which is pretty good. Like, if you were getting a £15 ticket over here, you'd be pretty happy with it. Specifically, 24 players. It was held on my birthday. And it was a good versus evil 12 versus 12 event, where I believe they required a sign up of 12 people for each side, which is a pretty cool concept. So there was no real winner.
There's a Suffolk tournament, not Suffolk, Sussex. One of those that does a similar format where there's 12 good side tickets and 12 bad side tickets.
Yes. It's quite a cool concept. Overall, the winner for the tournament was good, which I would say the evil meta over here is a bit more predominant in the UK. It wasn't predetermined scenarios as far as I'm aware, but it was Breakthrough, Commander Battlefield, and Assassination. And best painted was a gentleman named Gerard, and I stole a bunch of nice photos of his lovely Theodred's Guard from his Instagram, which is instagram.com/Lega_MESBG. Hopefully we'll put a link in the description underneath John's Instagram, obviously.
Naturally.
Now, let's have a little look at, firstly, the prizes. Loaded some pretty cool prizes, some 3D printed sculpts on some nice busts.
Yeah, I've seen those before, but they're very nice. They've come with the gold, silver, bronze set up here. But
it's very nice. Spanish, going for the Vallejo dropper ball.
Yeah. There's also a best evil general and best good general at the back. That's what the Dane and the Berserker are for. Or at least that's what my translation of the embossed text is. Apologies if I'm wrong there. But it's always nice to see trophies which A are on a plaque and B have a little thing which tells you what you've won. Although, these trophies are pretty sick anyway. So Yeah, moving on to what I thought we were going to, which is Gerard's really cool. I was about to say Riders of Theodred. It's not.
That's Theodred Guard.
It is Theodred's Guard, exactly. Now, what you're seeing on screen includes some lovely Diwali miniatures, not proxies, but stand-ins instead. But some of the pretty cool. They've got a Saxon range, which I believe is what this is.
Those shields are incredible.
I'm not a huge enjoyer of the official Theodred. Got one on my desk right here.
Yeah.
Painted and everything. Look at that. There he is.
Just the shields on the Chud dudes, though, like the little highlighting on all the
Someone's ready for the new edition.
Yeah. Good news for you. You've got a bunch more Rohan Warriors. Here were the 3 hero sculpts mounted, at least, which they use. So they use the official Urkin brand.
Doing here.
I know.
It's the official Urkin brand, but not on an official Rohan horse.
No, it's not. Although the official Rohan horses are generally quite boring.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 2 poses, and you can get nicer ones if you want to use them. Go for it, I guess.
But again, some lovely edge highlighting everywhere. Gosh, this must be what it's like when people who don't know what they're talking about talk about lists, because I'm just a contrast man, and I'm just looking at all these gorgeous armies. And apparently it took him, and I did stalk his Instagram quite a bit because he's got quite a lot of nice Dragon Emperor stuff on there as well. It took him about a year to get these painted up, I believe, which understandable because like the amount of detail just into the rank and file troops and the dynamic posing of these horses, which hopefully people are seeing on screen now if you are a YouTube watcher. It's pretty tasty. So yeah, big shout out and well done for the painting.
We are such a hobby podcast.
We are such a hobby podcast, but we've talked about hobby for almost an entire 4 minutes now. Although to be fair, these Diwali miniature horses are actually some that I would quite like to get. They're pretty nice with the dynamic posing. Moving on to some lists. In 3rd place, it's Albert M with everyone's favourite cookie cutter list at 800 points that isn't Vanquishers. Beornings! Now, of course, I joke, but the point being that you have the bears and the 20 Beornings. That's
choice in this list is how many bows do you want? How many
bows you go for? It's like, do you go 4 bows or do you go 6 bows?
Well, you can get 5 bows.
Or 0 bows.
You want some bows, probably, because they're for free, but you don't want to lose out on too many hand and a half axes. I think 4 is a good compromise, because you're not winning any serious shooting wars, but you want to have a couple who can do some damage at range.
Yeah.
I have almost nothing to say about this, but I do see how it could be good in a tournament like this. They do quite well into evil.
Especially, I mean,
magic, high fight, high courage.
It's a pretty good list for assassination because your assassin, obviously it has to be Grimbeorn, but it's a big bear. And with all the mobility tricks you've got with the bears, it's...
The problem is just the fact that you don't have...
There's no
new ones. Like,
yeah.
There's two heroes that are both worth points for getting. It's a bit... Fortunately, 20 buildings is quite hard to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, so it was Breakthrough, Command the Battlefield, and Assassination. I would have thought they won Breakthrough and Assassination because Command the Battlefield is a little bit harder, but equally, they could have lost Breakthrough and won Command the Battlefield. It's not unthinkable. I'm at least assuming with 3rd place in a 24-player event, that means it's 2 wins and a loss. Yeah, I mean, not much to say about Beornings. I do genuinely hope that they don't get legacied when the new edition comes out, because they are cool models. And while it's not always the most fun to play,
4-12 army means that might be unlikely. Although how they get played with might change.
Yeah,
the list may no longer be Bjorn, Grimbeorn, Beornings. It might turn into a Grimbeorn only kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe they'll do something wild and get like some Huons and Ents in there, because that's totally likely, getting Huons.
I distinctly remember them from the film.
Yeah,
they are
definitely moving trees.
They don't really explain them, but they are there.
Yeah. Moving on to the 2nd place list. Sorry, there's not a lot to talk about with Beornings. It's It's Chicho, I'm going to assume it's pronounced. Apologies if I've butchered your name there. With a combination of Thranduil's Halls and Survivors of Laketown and Erebor Reclaimed.
True Battle of the Five Armies.
True Battle of the Five Armies. Who wants to go through this one?
I'll take this one. So it's led, or maybe not led. Do we know who the leader was?
Thranduil was listed first, so I'm assuming it's Thranduil.
Cool. So Thranduil with Elk, Heavy Armor, Extra Sword, Circlet of Kings, leading 8 Mirkwood Elves with Shield, 5 Palace Guard with Spear, 1 Mirkwood Elf with Banner, and a Mirkwood Cav. Tariel's leading 3 Mirkwood Elves with Elf Bows and 1 Wood Elf Sentinel. Then Thorin is mounted on a goat with Orcrist, leading 2 Iron Hills Goat Riders. And rounding out the list, we've got Hilda Bianca leading 4 Lake Town Militia with Bow, 4 Militia with Shield, and 4 Militia with Spear.
I don't love it. I can see a lot of things that I'd like to improve with the list.
Yeah, this is one of the.
It's cool.
Optimized list versions of this list I think I've seen in a while.
Yeah, what I would say is this is a very cool list. You've taken all the bits that you like and the big heroes.
I like Hilda. I like Hilda. She's so cheap. Hero Fortitude. I don't really understand the Tariel. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, just pay the extra points for Legolas.
Yeah, I mean you don't need 2 Goat Riders and Thorin. Orcrist is a lot. I just don't. Yeah, this list I don't really get it. He's not got shields in his Palace Guard, which is sort of an okay way of saving points. The Elk is a lovely model, but I personally wouldn't bother with the Elk because it's 20 points. You can spend those 20 on making Tariel into Legolas on a horse, which is a much better usage of your points, and Thranduil still gets worked on his.
You could cut out a Goat Rider, cut out the Elk, and then you got 40 points to play with. Upgrade Tariel, like you said. You could upgrade Hilda into a captain to get marching.
Yeah, I mean, I like Hilda, but if you're not having more than one warband, a captain is quite a bit better, I would say.
Yeah.
But Laketown captains are excellent, especially when you can get elf support on them.
Say the 4 heroes you take in a Battle of the Five Armies that are 800.
What?
What are the heroes you would take in Battle of the Five Armies at 800?
It depends on. There's a lot of vibes. I mean, personally, I take Gandalf, Laketown Captain, Thorin, and Legolas. But Thranduil is an acceptable alternative. But you have to, it's a Gandalf, and then you swap things around. I mean, you could play that. You could swap Gandalf for Thranduil, essentially. Have some more elves, a few less dwarves. I don't know. I mean, he's got second, so he's done well with it. I'm looking at this and thinking, like,
could be optimized.
Rocking back and forth, optimizing it in my head.
No shield on the Mirkwood Cav.
There's only 9 spears in it as well. He's got no glaives, which is, 37 is okay numbers, but it's still pretty small. And he's not maxed out his bows, and you know how we like to do that.
Yeah.
I guess the most efficient way of taking Mirkwood Elves is just shield as your front line.
Yeah, I think just shield, or if you do like I do, I don't tend to run a large elf contingent. I'll have like a couple of glaives, like 2 or 3 glaives in the elf and cav, just because glaives have this. You can spear support for the elven made sword.
I think the other
I like the concepts, but I think this could be improved quite heavily. But I mean, clearly it's not stopped him, so fair play.
I think the other thing that really stands out to me, to not change too much about the list itself, is there's no bow on Tariel, which for 5 points with a 3+ shoot value with 3 might behind it.
I mean, at that point, you might as well just have more elves with bows.
Yeah.
Or a bow on Thranduil.
Shield on that local cav, or all sorts of things.
Or Legolas, but yeah.
Listen,
it all goes back to Legolas.
Well, I mean, Leggy's just the guy, isn't he?
He is the guy.
105 points.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously good.
Yeah. Okay, after that savage destruction of that list, we do apologise, Chicho. It's a very cool list, and well done for getting
That's what the viewers
second.
want.
This is just what we're here to do, is dismantle
Nothing
this.
I perceive as the flaws. People get upset when I don't rip lists apart, so
Yeah.
you know the comments demand it.
The comments do demand it. Comments do demand it. Foreshadowing. Cool. Moving on to the first place list. In fact, it's the man who submitted the results himself. It's Adam Sirens with Pits of Dol Guldur.
Who famously said they don't work at 800 points.
He did famously.
That's wrong as well.
That's not how you spell his name, is it?
No, you've spelled it Sirens, but that is
Hey.
his name. There you go. Pranked.
Boom.
Doesn't
Adam
work
was
if you
just
call it
writing
out
a
yourself,
comment.
Stephen.
Okay, Pits of Dol Guldur, 50 models at 800 points, which is a good amount. We'll go into why he's got so many. Azog on the White Warg, of course, you have to. Why would you not? It's literally part of the list. 8 Hunter Orcs, 5 Gundabad's with Shield and Spear, 1 with Shield, Banner and Spear, 1 Fell Warg, and a Hunter Orc with Warhorn. Hunter Orc Captain with 4 Hunter Orcs, a Fell Warg, 3 Gundabad's with Shield, and 2 with Shield and Spear. A Hunter Orc Captain with 6 Hunter Orcs, a Fell Warg, 2 Gundabad Orc Warriors and a Shield. With Shield. 2 Gundabad Orc Warriors with Shield and Spear. A Hunter Orc Captain with 6 Hunter Orcs, 2 Fell Wargs, and then Thrain the Broken Pits. Now, Adam is famously, he absolutely loves pits, and also the army list as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of models. The only thing I would say is that at 800 points, if Azog, and Azog will almost guaranteed do the business, so this is almost a moot point. One poor round of combat, and you could easily lose 10 Hunter Orcs from just line fights going bad.
He does have quite a sizable contingent of Gundabads, though, which are pretty tanky.
They are significantly harder to shift. It is still a very efficient battle line, having said that, because you do have 3 Hunter Orc captains, which as long as they're not fighting fight 5, they can pretty happily chop through stuff with their 3 attacks. You've got the 3 strength 4 hits, which are rerolling ones against elves and dwarves, which is nice. On one of the dice, Hunter Orcs don't have ancient enemies, do they as well?
No.
Okay, that would be mega cracked.
Only Gundabads do. You've got quite a few frontline Gundabads, which I think is interesting. I know Gundabads often you want to use them to charge things. Does he have a Warhorn in this?
He does in the top warband.
Yeah, so the Courage 4 on the front makes sense.
He's got the gubbins that you would normally query adding at lower points. Like normally it's a choice between a banner and a horn. But at 800 you can definitely afford to take both.
I played them at 650 and I opted not to go for a Warhorn to get the 40 models. I think at 800 you should have both, yeah. He doesn't go on for the Keeper. I was just trying to work out how I would get the Keeper in if I did use it. The problem with the Keeper is it locks you at 46 models, which is still good, but if you want to get up to 50, then you need to have more captains. I was wondering if a Gundabad captain would be worth trying to get. Like they are 10 points more with the shield, which is tough. But having a D7 hero can sometimes be really useful.
Also,
and
their strength 5 as well.
Yeah. Obviously, Hunter Orc captains are really good for their points, but also they're pretty squishy. They die quite easily. But yeah, this is definitely 2 elves. I know. But yeah, they're all captains with no shield or anything, so they can die to 2 of anything pretty easily. Yeah. Well, clearly his time in the GBHL has strengthened him to the point of unresistibility.
Yeah. I believe he podiumed City of Kings with Pits as well. Is that right?
He did, yeah. He came 3rd.
Yeah.
With a list that was not too dissimilar to this, because it was 765.
Proves GBHL domination spans across Europe.
Well, the way I'd like to think of it is that Adam took a really competitive list to a super uncompetitive Spanish event, because that's just what the Golems games are like.
A super competitive event. Sorry, to the list. It's definitely good, but I don't know if I'd call it super competitive. It's good enough to compete with big boy lists, but I wouldn't call it itself a super competitive.
Listen, I'm spinning a negative narrative about one of my favorite GBHL players.
It's okay. You can just keep saying his name wrong. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Love you, really, Adam. Hopefully, see you soon. And I hope you
He's
enjoy
come to
Spain.
Djibouti, I think.
Oh, is he coming to Djibouti?
Yeah,
I believe so.
You'll see him this week.
We'll literally see you in 3 days.
Don't say nice things about him then.
I won't say nice things about you.
You can say nice things in person when you've had a couple of beers.
Yeah, I don't drink beer. Come on, Dave, you should know that. How do you feel about Thrain the Broken in this list?
I was thinking about that, and I think he's good, especially if you're playing Good v Evil, because in Good v Evil, you're not going to run into any black darts or anything that actually makes him a risk. He's just a deployment drop. Basically, he's only at risk in Maelstrom, and this list isn't afraid of playing Maelstrom. Generally, if Thrain gets punked, you can just deploy near him, and then like seize priority if you need to. He's got tools to deal with it.
So he's 10 points. So in Maelstrom, you're like, who gives a shit, you know?
Well, it's more like he's more. He can potentially be a burden and stuff like assassination, or mostly because he can run away. Not because you're pretty unlikely to have him in a position where he can die. But then if he's running away, you're broken, and if you're broken, things are looking dicey anyway. So also he is courage 5 with the horn. He's not like a punk. So and like his rule is nice, but he basically never fights anything. So like it never comes up. For those who don't know, at the start of every turn, he has to roll a courage test to see who controls them. If he passes, he's evil/good, depending on what list he's in. So in this case, evil. And if he passes on a double, he becomes a dwarf lord. So he gets +2 fight, +2 attacks, +2 strength. I think he's strength 2 by default. And he goes up to fight 6, and he goes up to courage.
He remembers that he remembers that he's a dwarf lord.
He's a proud dwarf lord who's fighting for the evil side for some reason.
Yeah.
And if he fails, your opponent controls him. It's sort of like Denethor, but he's lower courage and has more of an incentive to win. I mean, he's a good choice, especially when all you're going to get instead of him is another Gundabad. He's just a deployment cheat, basically. And I think if you have the option for deployment cheats, they're good to have.
Yeah, especially in this list where counter deploying where Azov was going to go after you've deployed your other 4 warbands, which is probably more.
Yeah, he's got that gives him the difference between 4 and 5 warbands is big, because 5 warbands means you can almost always counter deploy something, even at 800 points.
We saw, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but the Djibouti people posted the makeup of the number of heroes at 820 at their event. And the largest, the mode number of heroes is 4, 820, and then there's a little drop off to 5, and then there's a massive drop off to 6. So it's 30 heroes at 4, 19 heroes at 5, and then about 3 heroes at 6 heroes.
I think you're being confusing there. What you mean is there are 19 lists that have 5 heroes in.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
What I mean is that the vast majority of heroes, vast majority of lists at this points level, have around 4 or 5 heroes. So being able to wait until everything else is down before you drop Azog is really tasty. Which is definitely why Adam decided to take the Thrain the Broken. No other reason whatsoever. Moving on to the second and last event of the weekend, which we'll be covering. It was Suffolk Great War, hosted by James Palmer at Woolpit Village Hall, the old stalwart in the southeast. This was a pretty big event. I mean, Woolpit Village Hall is no stranger to having quite a few people in it. It's hosted a GBHL 100 a couple of times before. There are 48 people down in Woolpit, which probably added a significant amount to the population for that one weekend.
Well, the ringer appears to have absolutely bodied about 13 people there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There was also a really cool raffle system for the tournament where everyone started with 1 ticket, and then there was a bonus ticket available for non-podium prizes. So that means most sporting, best painted, best miniature, wooden spoon, etc. Now people could only win 1 prize from raffle. but it's just a nice little extra. There's always a chance of winning something, kind of thing, which was really nice. Now, also, I do have to mention, not because he's asked me to, because every time you go to one of James's tournaments, he always has these single minis in little baggies that you can buy for a couple of quid. So if you're ever in the southeast and you want to go to one of his toys, look out for that at lunchtime, because it's a really cool little thing they do, and they have all sorts of actually good stuff in there, stuff which is out of production and whatnot. So make sure you do go check it out. Yeah.
James runs a fantastic tournament. I was gutted I couldn't make this one.
Yeah, he does run really good tournaments. It's one of the ones which we went to last year, and then we went again this year, partially because we were like, oh hell yeah, this is a really good event. So big shout out to James and his team. Now there was also a secret objective system, which was really cool. I had a little look. They had 50 cards to give out, each with a secret objective. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but then the person who got the most secret objectives at the end of the tournament also won a prize. But there wasn't an effect on the main event scoring for it, which is always quite nice, because some tournaments can have a reputation for conversations happening, perhaps, where people go, "Oh, I'll give you your secret objective if you give me mine," which, you know, obviously is a bit of an unscrupulous way to be gaining TPs, but nice to see it separate is the point I'm making. It was a 400-point event. It was 1 hour, 25-minute rounds with 4 games, random in pools. So that's 4 random scenarios, no pool to be repeated. He's also running an event on the 10th of November. So if you're in the southeast, go check out Ruining the East GBHL 80 Trios, which is a 3-person teams event, I'm pretty sure. Best painted was Rory Duckett. I do not have any photos. Apologies, Rory. I believe it was Defenders of Erebor.
The Rory Duckett.
Yeah, I think
Rory Duckett.
his army, we featured it before.
We probably have. I believe we have.
I think he won best painted at the 100.
This guy's been painting before.
And most spotting, not most sporting. Apologies, I'll have to find myself.
Spoting, mate. Spoting.
Kepper Barois. I do apologise for absolutely butchering that name if I have done so. Also,
Rhino.
Shout out to some of the names on the list that I'm seeing. A few people who I met at the last event and had the pleasure of playing, and even playing football with, including Ryan Turnage and Ryan Locke. I had very enjoyable games with those gentlemen. So yeah, let's move on to some lists. Lists. I know, we could have almost talked about the football that we played at GBHL, which is what people are really here for.
Gorok, captain of the Moranin, leading 6 Orcs with shield and 6 Moranin Orcs with spear and shield. Gorbag, or captain, with a shield, and then we've got 6 Orc warriors with spear and shield, and then 5 Moranins with shield, 1 Morgal Stalker. Then he's got an Orc Shaman with 4 trackers and a Moranin Orc with shield. I am a little bit confused by this, because he's got a front line of Orcs with Moranins behind, which is like a bit weird, but fair enough. And then he's got a front line of Moranins with Orcs behind, which is a bit like... Personally, I prefer... If you're going to run an Orc Shaman, which I prefer Cardish, but obviously he's 10 points more. I think you can find the points personally. I think I don't like Golroth as a leader. I've tried it. Don't think it works. I think I prefer taking... You can make Gorbag the leader and take like a one of the other 60-point heroes like Zagdush, or... I mean, he's quite nice. He's strength 5 burly. He has 5 basic, and he's got strike. So I understand the value of him, and I like his more.
Golroth also the one who can shrug off a wound by killing an orc?
Yeah, although I've never seen that not roll a 1 on the first time I'm asking. To shrug off dying. I used him. I used him at a tournament 450 as my leader, and every time I did, it was only twice to be fair, but both times I just rolled a 1 on the first time, and you can't bite it. And it's like, okay, good rule. I disproportionately dislike that rule specifically because of that as well, which is not smart, but there you go. Also, the 1 Morgal Stalker, banger choice, frankly.
Yeah, I have
I think
never played against a Morgal Stalker in.
You know, played Ali's Morgal Stalkers list.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
In my
It's like own brand Hunter Orcs.
we've got Hunter Orcs at home.
Yeah, hey, don't worry, babe. We've got Hunter Orcs and Good Ads at home, and it's like
They're strength 3 as well, right?
Morgal Stalkers. No, they're strength 4.
Oh, they're strength 4d4, are they?
They're essentially Hunter Orcs with Courage 3 and the
Stalk
Morgal
Unseen.
Orcs, so potentially Courage 4, and they get Stalk Unseen. So they pay 2 points for that, which is like
If you had to pick
you
two
could
things
choose
to,
not to, you wouldn't. But yeah,
exactly.
to be fair, if you're running them as a front line, and also they're in a list that can include the Shadow Lords, so actually, the problem with that list primarily is that Black Numenorians exist.
Yeah.
And Ranon Orcs exist with Shield. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, if only there was some way to get Strength 4 and a strong High Courage frontline into this Mordor list. Oh, I'll have to scratch my head and think about that, but there might be a way. Anyway,
I
Wait,
would
is it
say maybe they'll
Blackguard?
shine in the new edition. But
It's
Galaxy.
Guard of the Black Gate, right? The Blackguard.
Blackguard are 1 point too expensive, despite being Strength 5. But
but they're
so
insane.
this is. I like pure Orky lists personally. If I was making this, I would change Goroth into like a Zagdish maybe. You could do Gurus, but you want a second strike, I imagine. So Zagdish is nice because it's got the 3 attacks. Make the Shaman into the Kardish. Maybe have a couple more trackers just to keep your numbers healthy, and then you've got then you do Morannons at the front, Orcs with Spear and Shield behind. Keep it relatively cheap. You got Strength 4. It's like 400 points. You're not going to get anything particularly spicy. So I think 2-3 attackers is pretty nice. And then you've got Kardish. You can throw out some fireballs or put the Fury up if you need to.
That's another benefit of having the trackers with Kardish is you can use them as just fireballs.
Yeah, you can gobble them.
And when you've got 32 models anyway, or 32-ish models, if we shuffle it around somewhat,
you could still have 32 with what I just described.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I mean. And putting Gorbag as the leader because he's D6 with the potential 3 attacks, he's just a little bit more defensible. Whereas Goroth on the 2 attacks, he whiffs, he dies, he sniffs.
He doesn't have a banner, but I think at 400 points, dropping a banner is a very valid choice, especially in Mordor when numbers are your friend.
Yeah, you're talking almost 3 models for a banner, so it's not the worst choice. Yeah.
If you want.
Moving on to
no, I was just if you ran what I was suggesting, you could get basically that setup with Kardish and 7 trackers, 12 Morannons with shield, 12 Orcs with Spear and Shield, and then you've got 4 points left over to do what you want with. Maybe you have a Morgal Stalker for Bantam.
Yeah. Moving on to the second place list, it's everyone's favourite conquering champion of teabags, Jasmine Tetley.
What Angmar, huh?
With the Wolfpack of Angmar. I have sent Jasmine this photo. I hope she responds before the podcast comes out, because if she's not okay with it being on here, I do apologise.
That's not good. So 1 Felwarg. So you've got 2 Wild Chieftains, one of whom is the leader, who gets +1 might, strength, might, will, and fate, and fight value. Is that? What does it get?
It's the heroic stats.
+1 might, will, fate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just the heroic stats?
Yeah, it doesn't go up to further fight.
8, 6? I don't remember. Then 9 werewolves overall, a wild warg and a felwarg, and I guess that'll just be to make the points fit in nicely. I think this is pretty good at 450, to be honest.
This will
do, and I think it's a good fun list.
This will absolutely rip through something at 400 points.
Yeah, because you get +1 fight value on the turn you call your wolf howl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But fight 6 werewolves with knockdowns, and if they win a fight, they are killing you. Almost without exception. At 400 points, there's very little they're not going to kill.
The strength 5.
Yeah, strength 5 with
Double
2
range.
attacks with a knockdown. 4 strikes at strength 5 will kill. Basically, it will kill basically every troop. It has a good chance of killing low tier heroes. Anything that's D7 1 fate.
Yeah,
2 wounds could just die.
The Wild Chieftains get the knockdown as well, and they get fight 6 and also strength 6, which is pretty hefty. So yeah, this would absolutely body a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Big memes.
Yeah,
a lot of
and
nuance.
it's very fast. It runs at you and it knocks you down and kills you. And hopefully you manage to get all 9 werewolves in.
And the move 10 as well, because you're not going to be facing that much shooting at 400 points, so you can dictate when you engage,
and
which is really
you've got
strong.
the fell sight as well. You can just go behind the terrain and just go, cool. I can ignore all your shooting, and then when I'm in range, I can just charge you. Yeah,
Yeah,
really
it's hard
cool.
to hold. I was, when I first saw this, I was thinking how hard it would be to hold objectives with a couple of models against a list like this, because, or even just werewolves in general, because they can just wait until the opportune moment. It's like, cool, you've left 2 guys there, but my werewolf is in range to charge out of line of sight, and then on the last turn you can just jump out and be like, bang, I'm killing that guy. That's my objective now. That's what they're really good for, I think, because they're high courage in an evil army that is not well known for its high courage. So courage 5 on a troop is actually crazy.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's really good, yeah.
So
I know this list is, I think, a bit of a meme, but I think it's also got a bit more legs than maybe some people realize.
Some would say it's got 52 legs.
Who would say that?
People in the Guardians Discord, actually, specifically.
Yeah, well, they said that's good.
Because each model has 4 legs. So yeah, moving on swiftly. Well done, Jasmine.
Were you privy to Jakob teasing his chariot choice for the GP? You weren't privy to that, were you?
I don't think I was.
All he would say was the list has 72 legs.
Nice.
That was his joke.
That's great.
Speaking of lots of legs.
Oh my goodness.
It's Morgal Knights.
Wow.
Nick Michello, who is playing 2 points down like a disgusting, filthy heathen. Well done, Nick. With a pure Mordor list, with the Witch King of Angmar, Morgal Blade, not Braid, he doesn't have a special hair bit, with Crown of Morgal, Horse, 3 Might, 2 additional Fate, and 5 additional Will. So it's a more fighty Witch King, although maybe 1 more Fate would be appreciated. 6 Morgal Knights, 1 Morgal Knight with Banner, 4 Wild Raiders with Shield and Throwing Spear, and 6 Orc Trackers for a total of 18 models. First place with this list is fucking amazing.
It's pretty different, isn't it?
I love that this has happened.
I hope Morgal Knights survive into next edition and they're cracked.
They're likely to
survive very cool.
Black Numenorians in the current version, I reckon.
Yeah.
Morgal Knights are explained pretty clearly in the books.
I have absolutely no notes on this list because it's perfect and beautiful.
I'm just curious as to how.
I'm going to assume because there were 48 players. Obviously, Nick can't have played Jasmine and can't have played Orc Tim, who came 3rd, because 48. So it was 4 games? Right? So 48, 24, 12, 6, 3 people on 4 wins. Potentially. Yeah. So half once is 24, half twice is 12.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, potentially 3 people on 4 wins. I guess this just got a lot of big wins.
I guess my big note, the one note I have is 1 less Will on the Witch King could turn one of those Warg Riders into another Morgal Knight.
Yeah,
that's about it. If you want to spend those last 2 points,
or no, the Morgal Blade I think is the bit you take off first.
Oh, he doesn't have a Morgal Blade.
Yeah, he does.
No. Oh, so he does. Yeah, that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd get
nothing you're seeing at 400.
No, I don't. I think the Morgal Blade is fine, and the reason I say that is because he doesn't really have anything he can spend those 10 points on, other than turning Warg Riders into Morgal Knights, which is like fine. But Warg Riders are good in their own way. I'm just trying to find a way to spend those last 2 points. If it was me, I'd weapon swap 2 of the trackers to have axes, just because.
Yeah,
I'm a hater. Of non-round numbers.
Use axes before they go.
Yeah, on a serious note, Nick, if I ever see you at an event, I'm going to need a rundown of how each one of your games went, because
I imagine he probably just charged things with the Morgal Knights and killed them. But
yeah, and 1 roll-offs.
I mean, or didn't. He's got terror.
Or didn't. Yeah, I guess as long as each Morgal Knight and Warg Rider kills something when it charges in, you're probably all right.
Nice. Maybe
Yeah.
he thought trackers just outshot everything.
Yeah, maybe at each game, 6
John
full
said
trackers.
there wasn't any stuff that you had to be afraid of in shooting.
Oh,
6 trackers, man. Think about it.
6 track. Like, what can you even do against 6 trackers?
Honestly, it might be one of my
rough.
favorite. Probably pretty much my favorite way to spend 30 points in this game is 6 trackers. I think.
Yeah. My
Almost
favorite way to
nothing is
spend
better
100
value than
points in this game is 20 trackers.
Now, see, that's not value anymore. 6 trackers is value.
Agree to
It's
disagree.
diminishing returns. Each tracker you add, the more likely they are
Yeah.
to do something.
The point is, trackers are that you don't want to over-invest in them. They're like between 6 and 10 is perfect in my opinion.
So what you're saying, you don't want to flood the market with them. You want to invest carefully and in a very, very tempered manner.
Yeah, I mean, you could do like Sim I used to do years and years ago, and just do spam cheapo mortal heroes, and then 2/3 Rannons with shield, and half of those with spear, and then a third trackers. He used to have run like 24 at 700 points.
That's a clubby list if I've ever heard of it. But I couldn't possibly comment on that any further. Talking of comments, God, I'm really getting really good at these segues, huh? So firstly, Mountain Goat Gaming, Jay says, "Big love. Thanks for having me on, chat. You're more than welcome. Everyone go check out his channel. Hopefully you will see myself and Dave on a podcast in the near future because we're doing something with him this week. So lovely to have you on again. Lovely to collab as always. The Chris, the second. So you're not the Chris then if you're the second Chris. Sorry, that was unnecessarily blasting someone who's only just found the podcast. I'm sorry, Chris. Unless it's the Christ,
he won't listen
second.
to it for like. He's not going to listen to it for like a few weeks because it's.
Yeah, he's not going to listen to it for at least 4 weeks. Just found your podcast. That's the next week's worth of commute listening sorted. Great. I'm glad you found the podcast, and I'm glad you enjoy it.
Please stay. Don't let Stephen's shade turn you off.
Please, I throw shade at everyone. Also, I'm going to choose to believe that his actual name is the Christ he second, as in the second coming of Christ.
All right.
Alan Cameron 8234, as in Alan Cameron, who I believe won the Scottish event last week.
I was talking about his Warhorn by the context of this comment.
I stand by my Warhorn after watching my Hunter Orcs and Bulb just refuse to charge the Army of the Dead previously. The mounted Hunter Orc captain, I just wanted to try. Yeah, absolutely fair enough. I think the Warhorn is worth its weight in gold if you're playing against any terror whatsoever. If you know your local meta includes a lot of terror, then it makes sense. I'm glad you haven't argued to defend your Hunter Orc captain because, yeah, I mean,
I can see an argument
interesting choice.
On Wargs. I really can.
Yeah.
In the same way that Orc captains on Wargs are good, they're only 5 points more, and they're better when they dismount. So it's not worthless. It's just Hunter Orcs on foot are great value. Is the only thing.
Yeah. That's true.
I wanted to try it, so reasonable.
Yeah, fair enough. You stand by your choices, Alan. I'm proud of you. Well done. Also, you share a name with my father, so maybe you are my father. Fat Hobbit Gaming 5292, Liam Smith says, "Love last week. Nice to keep up with the tournaments going on around the world. Some really fun lists, especially the Werewolf list. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the one this week as well. Still on the fence about buying werewolves with not knowing their future in the game, though. What army lists do we think we will see in the new game? And do we think the Legendary Legion style list will continue over in one form or another in the new version? Do we really want it?"
I just hope that it's better balanced than some other games have been. Earlier today, I was in the Discord chat and people telling an anecdote about how the Game of Thrones tabletop miniature game, the most recent edition, was basically solved and people figured out the best possible list inside of like an hour of the book release. I'd prefer it if we didn't have that. I don't think that's terribly likely, but it is possible, especially with like combos not being possible anymore, or at least that's what we think is going to happen. We don't actually know anything other than we know the Alliance Matrix is going to get some form of removed, and we're assuming that doesn't mean you can't do alliances at all, but it probably means alliances are going to be like fixed in some form or another. Like,
I'd like to think werewolves specifically will hopefully be safe. We know that Angmar and Arnor are going to get an online PDF with new rules out on release of the new edition. So hopefully it would be very surprising to me, at least, if they cut something they've just made new models for immediately off the gate.
Yeah, that would be a very short-sighted.
it's more about if they're any good is the thing, I think. Because you don't want to buy like 20 of them and then be shit. Or you could do like Clubly did and buy lots, but then the ones you buy are cheap. Like other ones.
I, for one, welcome our new Wolfie Overlords. So, moving on. Free round GJs. Dirk says, thanks for the coverage, gents. It was pool veto, so they played each pool. I sadly don't remember the order. Yele faced Minas Tirith, Fiefdoms, Assault on Helm's Deep, Misty Mountain Shire Rangers, Battle of Fornost, Arnor, Lothlorien Khazad-dûm, Misty Mountains. So double E guy on that list.
This was the werewolf guy, right?
I believe so. I'm just double checking.
This was the one where we were talking about, wasn't it?
Yes, it was the Angmar Warg Rider with a couple of werewolves.
Oh, yeah, that one.
The Giga Chad list.
And this was what? How many points was this again?
750.
Okay. That doesn't really answer any questions, actually, Dirk. To be honest, that just
it doesn't. He says he mentioned his rolls were ridiculously hard. So
okay, so check his dice, I guess then. But to be honest, I don't really see how amazing dice would necessarily save you in some of these matchups. Did he have Gullivar? Or am I just...
Yes, yeah. So I'll just read the list again for you, Dave. Witch King, Angmar Captain, Gullivar, Barrow White.
Oh yeah, the Rando Barrow White, yeah. Well, I mean, fair enough. He did cook. Does anyone know where those 3D printed orcs are from? So it's Praise to Gaming 8828. I don't know which one he's talking about.
I believe they're Diwali. It's the ones from the Angmar board, I think he was talking about.
Okay.
Check out the Diwali site, because not Diwali as in the Hindu Festival of Lights. Davali, D-A-V-A-L-E.
Davale Miniatures.
Maybe it is.
I need to go back and watch the video for last week's pod, because I was listening to it in the car, so I couldn't see. Were they the Rings of Power orcs?
No, they're a bit different. I'm gonna kind of slightly look now. We did miss Four Farthings Gaming, who said, what do you think is the ideal number of goblin mercs per warband in Azog's Legion? North America boards for terrain spread.
Depends on your list. 3 is great,
space.
Or 2 and a captain. But like, it's going to depend on how much warband space you have. Like, sometimes it's just going to be you fill up that warband as much as you have points left over because your other warbands are full.
Essentially, they let you immediately get 3 models off the board in something like Recon.
Yeah.
So you want to have at least 3 in the warband.
I think if you don't need the warband space, 3 is optimal.
Yeah.
3 is like perfect for the tech.
Yeah.
Basically.
Anything too big and you risk not being able to fit it in the terrain.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Jackster92 says, I would like to apologise personally to Dave for not writing a bad list. I will try better next time.
Yeah.
How fucking dare you?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just looking at the DeVale stuff. They've got some pretty suspect looking miniatures.
Mark Capewell 5864 says, the lack of look to these coverage from Up in Dundee is very sad. Podiuming while points under doesn't quite hit the same without triggering the lanky frisbee enthusiast. I wonder who he could be talking about there. Mark, send us the results next time then.
Did David Reed not send the results?
There were 2 tournaments in Scotland. He sent us the ones. Of course, he sent the ones which he went to, because David Reed is the king in the north, the king in the north of Hadrian's Wall, and Jack Thirlbeck is the king south of Hadrian's Wall. I'm not going to tell you which one is the king of the overall north. It might be David.
If you, yeah, I'd recommend checking out the De Vale Orcs. There's a lot of variety there.
Yes. A lot of a variety
Sorry,
of
I'm looking at
alternative sculpts to use in your miniature wargamings at 28.
We do need to
scale.
cool off. We aren't actually affiliated with Diwali.
We're not.
Not yet.
I do love Diwali, the Festival of Lights, though.
They can reach
We'll
out.
reach out to the Hindus, see if they'll
Yes.
sponsor us.
Coming.
Yeah, I do apologize, Mark. Next time you see Dave, just get him to abuse you. That's what I'd do. That's probably the best thing.
Yeah, if you come up to me and very clearly tell me your name and that you were a commenter, because sometimes people who watch come up and say hello, and I'm like, I don't remember where I know you from, because I'm so bad at remembering people's names and faces. It's entirely possible that we met or that we haven't met, and I'm not going to know intrinsically unless you tell me. Unfortunately, it's just unfortunate. But yeah, if you come to me in person and you're like, "Hey, look at this list," I'll tell you it's terrible in person if you want.
Yeah. That's the equivalent of getting your T-shirt signed or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll sign a bad list for you.
Print out a battle scribe list just to make it even worse, and Dave will sign it
I'll
for
write
you at
down
the
my
next event.
thoughts and scribble
If anyone at G-Boot brings me a printed out battle scribe list that is underpointed, I will get Dave to sign it, and I will buy you a
underpointed
drink.
by like more than 2 points as well.
Yeah, by more than 2 points.
points.
It doesn't matter what the list is, just underpoint it. It should be, as in, it should be 820. Make it underpointed. I'll get Dave to sign it, and then I'll buy you a drink if you do that.
Does this have to be the
Promise
list they're using?
No. It doesn't have
G-Boot?
to be the list they're using. It doesn't count if you're an Any Heroics member, because there are Any Heroics members going. That is cheating.
You think they
looking at
watch
John.
this? Come on now.
Well, John might, apparently.
I don't even watch it to edit it. I just cut the end in the middle.
That is all of the comments this week. If you do have any interesting lists that you want to post in the comments that you want us to shred, please let us know. We will be covering G-Boot this weekend coming, so hopefully see some people there who listen to the podcast. Come up and say hi, as always. We do like to meet fans, or just people who listen. You don't have to be an actual fan. You can just objectively enjoy the content. Remember to comment, like, share, subscribe, support your Hobbit hobby. Go check out 7th City Collectibles and buy all your stuff there through our link in the description. Go to a GBHL event near you. Are you wondering about, you want to go to one? There's literally hundreds in the next 12
Go
months.
to a GBHL event. This is a threat.
This is a threat. If you don't go to a GBHL event, I'll find out where you live and send a 6-foot tall cardboard cutout of Gilgalad to your door.
Massive.
But until next time, chitter chitter.
Chitter, chitter.
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 News.
Chitter fucking chitter, bitches.